tonight. Thank you so much for joining, because I do know that this is the time you normally spend with your family. So I want to say thank you in advance for spending this time with us today. As I said, my name is Yvette, and joining me today is one of my colleagues, Edgar, who is going to provide you some information. While he's talking, I'm actually going to share something on the screen, and then we'll kind of move things right along. Okay, Edgar?
Thank you, Yvette. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Edgar Osorio. I am a community health rep with Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey. Pretty much what I do for the company is I'm here for outreach. So pretty much before COVID happened, I usually was out in the field. We would have events, health events, and I would just be promoting about and so with NJ Family Care, basically what I just asked is, sure, what I'd like to do is get to know what your situation is. For those who don't have insurance, the person you talk to. So for those who don't have insurance, NJ Family Care is a state-led program that offers free insurance to those for children and also for adults as well with low income. So today, what I'm going to be talking to you guys briefly on is just the 3 ways that you would be able to apply. If you guys are looking to get insurance or you currently don't have insurance, feel free to get my contact at the end of the discussion. I'd be more than happy to have you come and chit chat and see what your situation is like. And if you guys do qualify for the free health insurance, then
Okay.
3 ways that you can go about for applying for NJ Family Care. The first one, which is a really common one, is to actually go to the Board of Social Services at your local county. Now, given the situation with COVID, most of the offices are not open to the public or just not open in general, and they're all doing everything through home. Now, with that being said, the best option you would probably want to go through is if you go to horizonnjhealth.com. And I'm sorry, njfamilycare.org. Sorry, I get those two mixed up all the time. njfamilycare.org. There you would do an online application. They'll have everything set for you, and it's as simple as far as registering for an account and applying everything that you need on the application. At the end of the application, you receive a confirmation number and also the number for NJ Family Care should you need anything from them. If that's a little bit too much for you or you don't have access to the internet, I would highly encourage to take down my number. Give me a call or give me a text. I'll be more than happy to. What we'll be able to do is set up an appointment so that way I can have a phone call with you and I'll do the application for you online. At the end of the application or at the end of everything, I'll give you the confirmation number and also the number for NJ Family Care, in which you can keep track of. And then from there, I'll give you the further instructions that you need. But anyways, I want to introduce myself. My name's Edgar. With that being said, Yvette, you can take over now.
Okay. Thank you, Edgar. And for those of you who would like additional information, I just want you to just check out the screen. I put up a flyer that has the contact information for our community health reps like Edgar, and as well as those from his team. So if you want to just snap a picture of that, feel free. Yeah. All right. So thank you so much, Edgar. So let me see this. Sometimes doesn't. 1 second. I'm trying to move the menu bar. There we go. Okay. So hopefully you can see my screen. And so one of the things that we're going to be doing during today's workshop is we're going to first do a short workshop talking about health and preventative health. Talk about the things that you can do to stay healthy, right? And obviously that does include, this conversation will tie into the family cooking demo. And I do want to mention that on the Roots to Prevention website, if you are not familiar with it, hopefully Jonathan and Travis, you can type the website in the chat.
Already did.
Thank you. I recommend that you go to the website. There's a lot of great information and resources and just different events that you can actually participate in. Just like the family that's going to be doing the cooking demo today, actually it's a recorded event. You too can volunteer to be one of those families. So there is an application, a registration form online if you are interested in being one of those families. And we will provide you more details if you decide to sign up. But I do want to mention one thing that I think it's a great feature is that for any family who signs up, they can actually select to have a one-on-one Zoom session to discuss nutrition and healthy eating options with a nutritionist or dietetic student from Rowan University. Okay, so I do want to make sure that that option is available. And so we are here to answer any questions that you might have about that. Okay, so moving forward, as I said, one of our topics of conversation today are really going to be, it's about preventative health. And as you can see on the screen, that it gives you some information about those things that include preventative health, right? But first I want to make sure that we are all on the same page. And when I say preventative health, what I'm talking about, things, some people might know it as a routine visit. Some people may call it a physical, but it's that one time a year you're going to the doctor, right? A routine visit is that one time a year you go to the doctor and he may send you for blood work. He's going to check your weight to make sure that you are at a healthy weight for your age and your height. Right? And for those of you who may not know, that's called BMI. BMI stands for body mass index. And so when you go to the doctor, right, one of the reasons he does that is to make sure that you are not at risk for certain chronic diseases. So we know that sometimes blood pressure goes undiagnosed. A lot of times people don't have any symptoms, but when you go to the doctor, they're going to check your blood. They're going to check your blood, your blood pressure. He's going to send you to get work done, blood work done for your cholesterol, which is the amount of fat that's in your blood, right? Because you can't look at someone and say, hey, I know that my blood sugar is low or that I don't have high cholesterol, right? We can't see that from the outside. It's something that you do need to get laboratory services done, get some blood work. But it is also an opportunity for you to talk to your doctor about different screenings, right? So as we age, there are different screenings that are going to be recommended by your primary care provider. So for women, as you can see on this chart, starting around the age of 30 or 35, sometimes even 40, it really depends on your risk factors. Your doctor is going to recommend that you get a mammogram it's a screening for breast cancer. And yes, men can get breast cancer, but it's usually a very small percentage of the population. And if someone in your family, if a male, if someone in your family had breast cancer, like your father, your brother, then that's information that your doctor is going to talk to you about, and he will make the suggestion whether or not you should get a mammogram as a male. So did anyone want to say something? Because I hear somebody's off of mute. No? Okay. So cervical cancer also, it's part of a woman's well visit. Again, these are all screenings that you can talk to your doctor about if you have certain questions. Colorectal cancer, prostate cancer, specifically for men, obviously. And then we have skin cancer, right? I'm gonna ask you, you don't have to answer this out loud, but how many times do you stand in a mirror and look to see if you have any dark spots? If there might be something that's growing that you didn't have there before. I'm guilty. I don't do it as often as I should, but I try to make a point of it because we usually get in the shower, we come out and we dry ourselves off and we're, put our clothes back on. So I want you to think about that. Take an opportunity if you can, make a point to check, to look at yourself in the mirror from head to toe, and see if there's any marks or moles that might look irregular, as a way to screen yourself for skin cancer or any abnormal growths. Right. And so one thing that I want to point out on this chart is that you can see that the age ranges from 19 to 65 years of age. And there are a few different screenings that are conducted. I mentioned before about BMI, cholesterol. Your blood work will determine one of the tests that your doctor might send you for. This usually begins at a later age, about 40 or 45, again, depending on your risk, is it's called A1C or HbA1c, right? And that determines whether someone might be diabetic or possibly pre-diabetic, okay? And so this usually begins at a later age, but if we're not in the habit of going to the doctor every year, then we're not going to know what screenings are going to be recommended for us, right? And so there are just a few different other things, about different immunizations, HPV vaccines, the flu vaccine, measles, mumps, and rubella, MMR. So these are all part of that conversation with your doctor that you should be having every year. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about that? So as adults, we are the ones that are setting examples for our kids. And so if they see us going to the doctor every year, even though we're not sick, those are examples that they're going to take into adulthood. And it's really important for them because they have the same type of wellness schedule that they should be following for different immunizations and screenings as well. Okay, so you could see on this page that I switched it a little bit to show you the different guidelines for children from birth to 21 years of age. Okay, and so if you are interested in any of these flyers, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to share them with you. Okay, I think I might be able to upload them in the chat. I'm not sure if I can. I will. Otherwise, just send me a message in the chat and I'll be sure to email it to you if you need it. Okay. So as I mentioned, this conversation today is all about food, making sure that we're staying healthy, making sure that we are doing the things to prevent us from getting sick, because that's what preventative health is about. And the one thing that we do every day, right, is eat. It's important. And unfortunately, there are some people who today are lacking food. Not that they should be, but it's a reality, primarily because of the pandemic. So I'm gonna read two statements to you that people have shared with me about their food situation. And if you feel free to either reply out loud or in the chat, but it is optional. So I'm going to read you the two statements and let me know if either of these two statements apply to you. The first statement is, we worried whether our food would run out before we got money to buy more. So think about that statement. Was that often true, sometimes true, or never true for your household in the past 12 months? Okay. The second statement is, the food we bought just didn't last and we didn't have money to get more. So was that statement, either one of those two statements, often true, sometimes true, or never true for your household in the last 12 months? And I think in the last 12 months, there probably are more people who might feel that that applies to them because of the pandemic. So many people haven't had an opportunity to stock the refrigerator the way they were before. Maybe they're not working. And so the reason I read those two statements to you is to let you know that if either one of those applied to you, please connect with me. We can share food resources that are available in your area, because nobody should be going hungry, especially if you have children. Okay, there is more than enough to go around, but what happens is sometimes people don't realize where they should be going to get those resources. Okay. All right, any questions? All right, so as we get started here, I want to mention that a lot of times people don't realize that what it means to have a healthy plate. And so something that you might be familiar with is something that's called My Plate. Whether you've heard about it before, it might have been something, if you have children, they might have learned about it in school, and you might have heard them talk about it, when they're doing their homework. And so I wanted to mention that My Plate is a nutrition guide that's published by the USDA. It's, as you can see, it's a food circle. It kind of looks like a pie, and it shows that it's a place setting, right? Divided into the 5 different food groups. And the USDA, this is a science-based plan, and that was developed to help people make better choices, right? Sometimes people will say, yeah, I eat healthy, I eat lots of vegetables, but it's also important to know not only what you're eating, but the portion size, as well as the way you're preparing it, right? So chicken, we know, is very healthy for us, but if you're preparing it in a way that has a lot of fats in them, added fats, then it becomes an unhealthy type of protein, right? So we're just going to spend a little bit of time talking about that, so that we can have a better idea. We all have a better idea of what a healthy plate will look like. So the first thing that we're just going to cover is grains. And hopefully you have an idea. You've heard about what whole grains are. And this picture is a little small, but let me bring it down here. So you can see 1/4 of the plate should be whole grains. Any food that's made with wheat or rice, oats, cornmeal, barley, those are all grains. Funny enough is that popcorn is also a grain, which is also a really healthy snack for you. I always recommend that you make your own popcorn at home instead of buying it. But it provides popcorn actually provides a significant amount of grain that we need. And grains are divided into 2 categories. So we know that brown rice is a whole grain. Brown rice and white rice are grains, but brown rice is a whole grain, which means that it still contains the entire grain kernel, which is the bran, the germ, and the endosperm. And what that means is that when we consume anything that's a whole grain, our bodies are doing the work to break it down, which means that we are fuller for a longer period of time. Okay. And that's really good because you know what? Our bodies like to be in balance. And when our bodies are in balance, that means that our blood sugar isn't going really high. We're not snacking in between. So if you go to the website, choosemyplate.gov, they have great resources, but they have a list of all the different types of grains and things that you can try. Then the other type of grain is something called a refined grain, right? It's something that's been processed. And as we all know, right, we want to try to stay away from those foods that are processed. Foods that are already pre-made in the supermarket, they usually come packaged, they're already cooked. But the problem is that those foods that are already processed or packaged contain sodium, salt, or sugar as a preservative. So they add those things in there to make sure that it doesn't go bad. So if it has added sugars and added salts, that means that we are also eating them when we prepare them, okay? The second group that I'm going to be I'd like to mention is proteins, right? So can anyone give me an example of a protein? I briefly mentioned that.
Nuts, almond,
Chicken.
Yeah, like fish. I could be
Yeah,
wrong.
so all of those do provide
Eggs.
protein. Excellent.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you. All of those are great sources of protein. And I know a lot of times people think of meat when it comes to proteins, right? But we know that there are many more options. It's not just about eating animal products.
And
So,
soy.
yep. So greens provide a good amount of proteins as well. But things like beans and fish and eggs, right? They're very reasonable, much more reasonable in price. Um, they are, filling, and it's also about the way we preparing them. We prepare them. Remember that I said it's not only what you're eating, but how you prepare it. That you want to make sure you prepare it in a healthy way. And so you want to limit red meat if you can, but anything in moderation. Okay. Try to stay away from things like cold cuts, bacon, hot dogs. And
I had a question. What about corned beef? I usually cook corned beef brisket. Is that too high? Not I am a diabetic, but like I'll try to. I mean, is the corned beef okay, or is that too high in salt? But,
so I'm assuming that you're talking about the brisket, not the canned, right? Not the canned.
no, yeah, the brisket, yeah, not the
Okay.
can. No.
Yeah. So, what happens is it usually the corned beef tends to be a little fatty, right?
Yeah,
And we know that typically is where the flavor's at, right? So I do understand that. I will suggest that if you do eat corned beef, you want to make sure, any kind of meat, corned beef, any other red meat, even chicken, you want to make sure that you're trimming away the fat so that
Okay, makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Because I mean, I do eat it, but I don't eat like a lot of it at one time. And when I do eat it, I'm cutting it up. I'm not like eating it whole or nothing like that.
Okay. Yeah. So that's fine. And so I would suggest that, there are some people who already follow a vegetarian or a vegan diet, and I think that's great. Plant-based is wonderful. But I want to challenge you to maybe consider one day of the week where you don't eat any meat products, right? So it's really good for your health. It's good for your digestive system.
Right.
But these are small changes in general that we can start to make just to be healthier. Right? If you certainly, I'm not going to tell people don't eat pork. It's just a matter of not eating maybe red meat every single day. Okay, but hey, 4th of July, I can tell you I'm in line for that hamburger and that hot dog, right? But it's and even though they're processed, but once in a blue moon, when you enjoy something, it's okay. Okay. So moving on to the other sections of my plate, as you can see here, my plate recommends that half of your plate is fruits and vegetables. I always suggest that people try to buy fresh fruits and vegetables from their local farmers market. If you can purchase them, if organic fruits and vegetables. What happens is when you purchase fruits and vegetables, or should I say, when fruits and vegetables are picked, they start to lose their nutritional value. So if you are able to go to a local farmer's market, right, it's a great opportunity for you to get those fruits and vegetables while they contain a maximum amount of nutrients. Okay. One thing I want to mention is that frozen is actually not a bad option. Because usually fresh fruits and vegetables are frozen right when they're picked, so they hold a lot of the nutritional value. But you want to make sure that if you are buying frozen fruits and vegetables, that you look at the label to make sure that it doesn't have added sugar and added salt, right? Because if you remember earlier, I mentioned that those things are added to food as a way to preserve them. So you want to try to stay away from anything that might be frozen that has added salt and sugar. Okay. And salt and sugar, salt, it won't be labeled as salt, it'll be labeled as sodium, right? So those two words are the same, but they're listed as on the nutrition label, it'll be listed as sodium. And just to give you a quick idea of the amount of sodium that is recommended, the American Heart Association recommends that a healthy adult not consume more than what is it, 2,300 milligrams of sodium a day, okay? But we don't really weigh the salt that we're putting on our food, right? But that is equal to 1 teaspoon, right? 1 teaspoon of salt is equal to 2,300 milligrams. So we're not talking about, sometimes people will say to me, oh, I don't use a salt shaker on my food. But if you're buying food that's already prepared, right, it will already have salt in it, right? So you got to be mindful not only about the food that you're preparing and added salt to, but also the foods that you're eating that are prepared outside of your home. Okay. So I included this slide because I thought it was a really good representation to show you that, your dollar can stretch more. I know a lot of times fresh is great option, but we don't always have that option, right? Sometimes you have to buy a mixture, frozen and even canned, right? So canned is an option, but as I said, make sure it doesn't have added salt and sugar. And as you can see here, that when you are able to mix when you're able to mix it up, buy fresh and frozen, you actually end up stretching your dollar and getting a few more products, a few more items with the same $10, right? Okay, so we did do this a couple of years ago, and it probably needs to be updated because prices have changed significantly, especially since the pandemic started. But hopefully you see the difference, right? On this side, the person was able to buy 15 items for the $10, whereas they were able to buy 18 items for the same $10, but they mixed it up with fresh, canned, and frozen. Okay.
Excuse me, Yvette, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
If you buy a can of soup, like chicken noodle soup, and it has 880 milligrams of sodium in it, by diluting it with more water, will I decrease the amount of salt in that can?
You will, but one thing I want to make sure, thank you for mentioning that, because what does the can say? Does it say 1 serving or 2 servings?
Oh.
Right. So that's a really good point. Make sure that when you're reading the nutrition label, check to make sure to see how many servings does that can of soup serve. Usually a can of soup will serve 2 people. If you buy like a regular can, most of the time people eat the whole thing. So if it's 880 milligrams of sodium per serving, that means you have to double that. That's 1,600 and what is it? Off the top of my head, something like that. So like 1,700 milligrams of sodium, which almost exceeds the amount that you should have in a day.
Yeah.
I wanted to add to that. You can also look for no sodium. Like they have a lot of even like the canned vegetables, they have no sugar, no sodium added. So you can you got to go to certain places. Though Walmart has it with their canned goods. And then what I do too is I kind of dilute it by buying some broth that doesn't have salt in it. But
so you can dilute it, but wanted to mention that if you consume all the liquid, then you're still getting all the sodium in it. Right. And that's a great point. There are options for low sodium. There's options for zero sugar. But just be careful that sometimes, usually when it says low sodium, it will have more grams of sugar. And when it says that it's fat-free or sugar-free, it may have more added sodium.
Okay,
Yeah.
I had a question. Okay, so I like Minute Maid juice. I love Minute Maid juice. And I had to stop drinking it because every time I drink it, my diabetes, my sugar will go up, everything. So I found at ShopRite they have Minute Maid Zero Sugar, which when I drink this, I'm not using the restroom as often. I'm actually able to control my sugar a lot more better. I know, like even with Crystal, sometimes Crystal Light seems like it's heavier. It says like no sugar, but it seems really sweet. This doesn't the Minute Maid zero sugar doesn't seem sweet at all. So is that a
Well,
good option to keep doing? I mean, I drink mostly water throughout the week, but then
right.
when I get to the weekend, I do like to have a Minute Maid juice.
Okay.
That's it.
Well, that's a great trade-off, right? So that's a
Yeah.
perfect example of when I was saying earlier about making sure we make those small changes.
Yeah. Definitely.
Right? So that's a great option,
Okay. Okay.
right? It's a great way that you're still getting the juice that you want.
Right.
You've only
Right.
done it on the weekends, and you've also switched to something that has zero sugar. Now, I
Right.
do want to say that a lot of times when things say have zero sugar, it doesn't have the regular sugar, the added sugar that we're thinking about, but it may have a sugar substitute like NutraSweet or stevia or
Okay.
I
So
don't,
those are the ones I just got to be careful to take a look at the label and make sure be very careful with that. Am I correct?
so those are sugar substitutes, which mean that they make something taste sweet,
What?
right? But it doesn't, it will not increase your blood sugar. Now the problem is, yeah, so that's a better option. But the problem is that when you consume those sugar substitutes, your body will still crave something sweet. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah. So if you're trying to stop those cravings that you get about, wanting something sweet, you also want to try to stay away from sugar substitutes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So
Sounds
thank you
good.
for the question. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep. Anybody else have any questions? No? Okay. So with that being said, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. 1 second. There we go. So I know we covered quite a bit of information, but I thought it was really important to make sure that we have a better idea of what it looks like to eat healthy. Making sure that we're including those food groups that you saw on my plate. Half of your plate should be fruits and vegetables. Trying to get whole grains into your diet. I didn't mention that, as adults, we should be getting anywhere between 25 to 30 grams of fiber a day. And to give you an idea what that looks like, a serving of oatmeal has about 5 to 6 grams of fiber, right? So if your diet is mostly meat and dairy based, then you're probably not getting the amount of fiber that you need. And that fiber is really good for your digestive system. It helps to reduce your risk for cancers. So hopefully some of the information that I've shared with you today will help you to start making some different choices, start slowly, and incorporate them not only for you, but your entire family, regardless of what your risk is today, right? We want to make sure that our bodies are healthy and as strong for as long as possible. And it really is important, especially during this time of COVID, as we all know, that those people who have chronic disease, have asthma, diabetics, high blood pressure, they are at a higher risk for serious outcomes if exposed to the coronavirus. Okay. So on that note, I'm going to pass it off to Justin or Kenny to share the video of the family cooking demo. And as we continue, please feel free to ask any questions in the chat or to unmute yourself.
All right, so we're just gonna jump right into it, and we're gonna go ahead and play our family cooking demonstration.
Hey, what's going on? It's your boy comedian Will Wright, and I'm here with my son
Quentin.
And listen, we was challenged from Teaspoon of Love if we can cook something in 15 minutes. Let's check it out. All right. Okay, we got some different things. Okay, 15 minutes. What do you think we could do with that, son?
I don't got an idea right now.
I'll figure it out. Here you go. Hung glove up. All right. Yeah, OJ did it. Yeah. Yep. Somebody didn't care about me. Don't worry about it. We eating this, so we'll figure this out. Cool. Let's go. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut up some of these potatoes right here. Got some onions and some bell pepper. I'm gonna let you handle some of that. And then we got, I guess this is chives, I believe, or scallops. This is one of the two, you know. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out, all right? I'll be right back to it. Cool. You probably want to cut it. Use that one. No, use that one. That one right there. Yep, that's better. So I'm gonna cut the potatoes up. I want you to cut the bell peppers and the onions up nice, like we normally do it. Yep. There you go. Where y'all get this knife set from? This is nice. I like a good knife, that's all. When you get you a good knife, you can do things, you know? As long as you don't cut your finger, you feel me? Okay, wait a minute. That's a good one right there. Don't worry about it. All right, cool. All right, clean this out on the inside. Clean it out. There you go. You don't eat the seeds. You don't eat the seeds. Put this over here. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Throw that in there like that. All right. Cut up some of these. Oops. What you want to do is you don't want to put these in immediately. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to overcook them. You want to make it look like decorations and stuff, you know.
You want me to put these in there?
Cut them up smaller. Cut them up. What you doing? What we eating? Cut it up smaller like we always do. He trying to act brand new because everybody here, you know, he just nervous, you know. How school was today, son? What y'all do today in school?
Work with it.
Yeah, sure. Apparently, you missed class today because I got a phone call.
They keep doing that.
Yeah, I bet they is.
That's all good.
Okay. I like my mushrooms the way they are cut, just nice and solid like that. Throw that in there like that, or whatnot. Okay, cool. All right. All right, finish cutting that up and put that in there. Daddy gonna cut the onions. Now, if I cry, just let them know I've been a real one forever, you know. You want to cut all that off of there. You don't need all that. Cut both sides off. Clean that up. All right. Excuse me, son. All right. Okay, this thing trying to make me cry. It ain't gonna get me. It ain't gonna get me. All right. Because we only got 15 minutes, we got to cook this together, all right? All right, cool. What Daddy gonna do is put the onions in here with it. Do that like that. I'll let you cut some of it up. So what we got right now we got the onions and peppers and the potatoes in here. We're gonna you know, butter them up a little bit and cook them up real nice. All right, walk with me to the stove. So we got it right here. What you want to do is hold up. My fault. You want to always check your fire. There you go. Oh, there we go. Ooh, you know, I got an old school joint. Wait, don't put that in there yet. We want to put that like that in there first, and then we want to get back over here. So we got some. I actually like both of these. We got the spray, coconut oil spray. I like the spray easier. And then we got some vegan butter here. We're gonna put in there, but I'm gonna use the butter today, but the spray sometimes come in handy. So what we're gonna do is, okay, here we go, boom. Get you a spoonful of that to go in here with that, because you want to saute these things. Like that. And I know what you're thinking, that's a lot, but you know, you got to have it flavorful. All right. I'm gonna let Quentin go ahead and season it and stir it up and let him cook it, because he's definitely a great cook. Go ahead, grab some seasoning. Go season it up, son. And we got, what you want that? Yup. No, I don't like that. Salt. Here goes some salt. I want you to use that, the pepper. Man, and hurry up. Your stuff gonna start burning. Use this. Turn the fire down, son. Keep yourself closer to you.
What next?
Some pepper. Then we got some, what we got over here? Some shrimps. We're gonna put a little shrimp in here, right here. What you wanna do? Nah. Cause some people, you know, they might be a little allergic, you know, you want to separate it, you know, you don't want to give it all to them the same way.
Put some shrimps in it?
Yeah, we're going to mix it up. Yep. Watch out, son. I hope I'm in, okay. Really mix that up, son. Then we put the shrimp in. Melt this butter.
Good.
And down that to the bottom. You see that? I need a lid. about you, but I'm ready to eat. You ready to eat?
Yes, I am.
All right, look at the camera and tell the people what we got here, son.
We have shrimp and potatoes,
Uh-huh.
on the side green beans and onions and peppers.
Oh, snap. And we got a little cheese on the top, you know what I'm saying? We double cheese that thing for y'all. We double cheese it. I like a lot of cheese in my potato things, but you know, that's what we did, man. That's all. Once again, I'm comedian Will Wright. This is my son.
Quentin.
And look, we about to try it real quick and get to it. Come on, let's try it, son. Okay. Get that potato in there. Right there, get the string bean. That probably gonna get y'all some of this. Get your life together right here. That's good. See that cheese? See that cheese? Y'all gotta get that cheese in your system. Let your lactate in the top, you know. But yeah, this is good, man. Once again, thank you for the talent. Until next time, God bless.
So with that, I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen. Yeah, so just, with our shared pursuit to inform families about eating healthy, we also felt the need to challenge families to eat healthy as well, provide our local families with the opportunity to try some new foods, try some different vegetables, and see what they can cook in a short time frame to really kind of, open everyone's eyes in regards to, what you can do on a budget, how healthy you can eat, and how it can still taste good, and you can eat and bring your family around the table. So, this is something that we want to continue to do. I know that Travis with Risk Prevention did go ahead and put out a link in the chat. So if you guys are interested, or any of family members that can chef it up, or they have some recipes and things that they would like to debut to the world, feel free to fill out that form. I'm also going to go ahead and drop another initiative that we've created together. It is our cookbook. It's our Teaspoon of Love cookbook. I'm gonna go ahead and drop a link to that in the chat as well. Back to Yvette.
So thank you. First, I want to say either by unmuting yourself or by reacting using the little icons, I would like to give a round of applause to Quentin and his dad, Will. Great job on the cooking. And so Quentin, actually, I'd like to know whether from you or your dad, what you enjoyed the most about cooking together?
Me, I enjoyed me and my dad being able to work together and create something out of that little bit of food.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, so one of the things we want to highlight, right, during this workshop is that most of the time, people are not only cooking for themselves, but they're cooking for their families, right? And it's a great opportunity, especially during this quarantine when people are not really going out to eat. It's actually even better, right? To be home and making meals for each other. So, like Quentin mentioned, he enjoyed that time with his dad to be able to prepare this dish. You saw that he used potatoes, which are great for potassium. They use peppers and onions, which are a great way to give food flavor, right? A lot of times people want to add salt to their food because they'll say, oh, it doesn't taste like anything. But what you're looking for is some flavor, and you get that flavor by using fresh ingredients like onions and peppers. As you saw, I believe that there were some scallions, and they had a good variety of different herbs and seasonings, right? You can use garlic powder, you can use Italian seasonings. I like to make chicken with a little bit of Cajun seasoning on there, or some chipotle, just to give it a little bit of a spice, a little bit of a kick to it. So all of those are great options for you when preparing your food, whether it's a vegetable, because I actually roast my vegetables and I always add those seasoning to it, the ones that I just mentioned, or whether you're preparing something like chicken or fish or shrimp, like Quentin and his dad did, okay? And one of the things I do want to mention that those, when you use fresh herbs, you know, that's something that you can grow in your house, very simple, and you can have it all year long, right? And if you do have it in the summertime and you have extra, just know that you can freeze it. It's a great way to use those ingredients at a later time, right? You can just add them into your food to give it a little bit more flavor. All right. And before we go, I want to say it's really important. I'm sure that Quentin and his dad did. They didn't show it on camera because it's not as important as the cooking itself. Well, it is as important, but not necessarily to show. So make sure that when you are cooking in the kitchen, that you wash your hands before you start preparing your meal, right? Because we want to make sure that we get rid of any germs that might be on our hands. Obviously today, right? With COVID, making sure you're washing your hands for at least 20 seconds, using a clean towel, paper towel, disposable towel to dry them up and throw them away. Because you don't want to get any germs that might be on your hands into your food, because that's the way you can easily spread different germs to people through food, right? And you know, if most people have had the experience either once in their life getting food poisoning. So I'm sure they did, but I did want to mention that as an aside. Okay. Are there any
I'm gonna blame myself for that. We took a video of it. I just didn't add it inside the video. They washed their hands, and we had sanitizer on the table.
Sure. I'm sure that you guys followed the protocol. But since it was off camera, I just wanted to mention it. That's all. Thank you so much, Quentin and your dad, Will, for volunteering to do the first family cooking demo.
No problem.
And as I mentioned, you know, if you are interested in being one of those families to participate, to make your own recipe that you would like to share, head over to the Roots to Prevention website. If you are somebody who is in need of different resources, maybe you need help with your NJ Family Care application, maybe you need food resources, please connect with myself or Edgar, whose name and information is in the chat. Or you can reach out to the Roots to Prevention website if you know Jonathan or Travis. They will also be more than happy to connect you with me or answer any questions that you might have about the different resources that are available and posted on Roots to Prevention. Okay. So with that being said, I'd like to say thank you all for joining us tonight. I know this time is special, time that you spend with your family and friends, and I do appreciate you logging on and spending the time with us. Okay. So if there are, does anyone have any questions? No?
When's our next class?
Thank you. So our next class is actually scheduled for in 2 weeks from today, March 4th at 5:30 p.m. And hopefully you will join us then.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, thank you. I will actually put that in the chat. So next, oh.
All right. Thank you everyone for joining us. And with that being said, I'm going to conclude our session today. So thank you, Yvette, and thank you everyone else.
Bye-bye.
Bye.